spend a lot of time with Daniel speaking about training, different types of training, and I know that 10, 15 years ago when we were working together, we spoke about training and you were like, what's that?
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we can speak about it for quite a long time now, just about what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you're finding is beneficial. And I know that I get a lot of shearers that ask me, you know, what you're doing or what, you know, the best shearers in Australia are doing. And so I think it's critical that we put that information out there just so you know what it takes to get where you want to go, and also you know what it takes to, you know, be the best that you can possibly be in what you know what you want to achieve when it comes to the industry. And so let's take it back to when you were first learning how to shear. I know that, you know, in Glen Innes there's quite a heavy shearing, you know, community. There's a lot of shearers, a lot of learners and intermediates coming through the ranks as we speak now. When you first started, what different things did you do, you know, for your body? Did you stretch? You know, what was that learning process like for you?
Basically, get out in the sheds and shear sheep. I didn't do any extra work, any stretching,
Yeah.
anything like that. So, you know, a big difference to what I'm doing now, of course.
And so let's fast track 15 years. You know, what would a typical week for you look like in addition to the shearing?
It'd be sort of 5 to 6 days extra training, transitioning from core work to a little bit of upper body, leg work,
Mm-hmm.
just swapping it backwards and forwards throughout the week.
What benefit do you think that that's had for you shearing?
I found that I don't know, probably 5 years ago, my lower back was, you know, it was starting to ache. You know,
Yeah.
and doing the stretches and strengthening the core and the lower back has really helped that, and, you know, out of sight really.
Yeah. And one of the things that I get asked a lot of, you know, a lot of the shearers will try and work out, and so they'll get right into weights and a lot of different, you know, heavy workout, which can obviously build muscle. I know that you did trial some of that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I know it's transitioned now into a lot of core work, a lot of band work. Explain that transition, you know, what prompted that and what the benefits are now.
I think if you're going and you're pumping weights all the time, I think you're strengthening muscles that could potentially harm your back.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really strong up the top and you haven't strengthened the core, you can be putting a lot of pressure on your back.
Yeah. And explains a lot of the, I mean, I know we talk about you doing a lot of core work. Explain some of those workouts for me.
A lot of planking, mountain climbers, tuckings, sort of stuff like that.
Yeah. And the reason that it's so good for the lower back is if you look at the lower back like the entire core section like a cylinder, you know, like a drum, it should be as strong at the front as it is at the back. And so if you think about that, and for a lot of shearers, when we're bending forward, the muscle group at the front, the stomach muscles, are actually disengaged. They're not firing until they actually start to weaken, which means that if you do get into heavy sheep or you do start shearing a lot of numbers, basically all of that support system for the entire upper body comes through the lower back. And even if you've got some of the core, you know, around the sides and the front strengthened a little bit, it'll actually engage and take some of that weight and take some of that force. And that's really why I find that brings the most benefit when it comes to shearing, is making sure that entire core region is engaged and working as much as it can. And so when you're looking at the lower back, it's not, you know, if you're shearing a lot of numbers, it will inevitably become extremely strong, but you want to make sure you're working the front and the sides, and not so much the superficial. You know, we're not after six pack, so to speak. It's those deep core muscles that wrap around. They're the ones that, you know, provide the most benefit when it comes to, you know, strengthening the whole core area. I know there's a lot of shearers, when they get injured, it's not necessarily when they're shearing. You know, you'll hear about it, you know, I hear about it every week. All they did was bend over to, you know, pick some kids' toys up or tie my shoelaces and bang, the lower back went. The reality is that weakness has probably started months or even years prior to that, and that was just the last point. And you just don't have that support system there. I know for myself, I'm bending down a lot during the day adjusting. I'll do 2 or 3 core workouts a week, and just to make sure that we, you know, I keep that strength, and I don't want to get injured. And so that's part of it. Moving forward, obviously, you know, you've got a title to defend at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know you have some other plans in the works when it comes to you shearing. What changes are you looking to incorporate, or, you know, on an ideal week, what would you like to be doing more than what you're doing now?
More, yeah, I'd like to try and step it up again. You know, up to another level. I think if you're going to become complacent, well, someone's going to knock you off your perch, I guess. But,
yeah.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, get another one on my belt.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have a whole team behind you. I know that I'm going to do as much as we can to keep you healthy and strong. And if you do have any questions, I know that Daniel's been awesome with all the learners around the district here, helping them out. And feel free to contact me. I did do a little bit of shearing, so I have some perspective when it comes to the where the pressure is on the body and the anatomy and the physiology, and also being a chiropractor, able to look at the biomechanics and where the stress comes through. And so I'm more than happy to help out when it comes to answering any of those questions. Thanks for your time, mate.